Okay, those of you who have seen some of my reviews, I know some of you liked them and everything. They've been mostly about products or animation programs and so forth. So what I'm going to do this time is something a little bit different, a movie review. I've never done one before, and I may do some in the future. I don't know, but I'm going to tell you right now what happened here is I was watching a movie last night. It's called Black Butterfly. I got so pissed off about it at the end, the ending and everything else, that I decided, I got up this morning, I was still mad about it, and I decided to do a review on this. Now, my reviews will be a little bit different here. There are going to be spoilers in it. If you miss this part right here, you're probably going to get mad at me later on if you just come in the middle of the movie. But there's going to be spoilers. I'm going to go along and I'm going to start telling you something about the story and everything else. I'm not going to tell you, and I'm not going to put a big thing up there that says spoiler alert. Go along if you want to. If you haven't watched the movie, until you decide, maybe I'll watch this movie or something like that. But this here is also for those of you who have watched the movie and maybe want to see what somebody else thinks about it, see if they think the same thing about you. The movie's called Black Butterfly. I'm in my last month of Netflix. I canceled it, and I'm in my last month, so I'm trying to get a few movies into there. And I saw that Antonio Banderas was in it, and I happen to like him, so I decided to watch the movie. So it starts out, his name's Paul, okay, and Paul is a down-and-out writer. He used to write, now he can't get a screenplay sold for anything. So he's a recluse, lives in this here nice place out in the middle of nowhere, and he's trying to come up with another screenplay. So he sits there and he's drinking. He drinks a lot and everything, and he's drinking and he kind of passes out. And basically, he's having a hard time. He can't come up with anything to write about. So anyway, then you see him. He's going out hunting. He grabs his gun. He's going out hunting, and some people show up. Blah blah blah. But anyway, he takes off to go hunting, and he's got to go. He's got something. He's killed a goose, I think. And he's going back. He's got to go to this here restaurant. He's meeting a girl there. Doesn't really say a whole lot. He just kind of pops out in the middle of nowhere, but that's fine. So he gets behind a truck driver. Truck driver is pissing him off. He can't get around him. It's a curvy road and everything. He almost kills a motorcyclist trying to pass him. Finally, he manages to get around him, shoots ahead, gives him the bird, and shoots ahead. Well, he gets to the restaurant, apologizes to her for being late. And he's talking to her, and he looks out and he sees a truck driver pull in, and he doesn't pay attention. And he's sitting there talking to her, and a guy comes in and he says, "You," kind of confronts him and says, "Hey, you're the guy that was on the street, right?" Yeah. So the truck driver's going over, sitting, and the girl talks. She's getting a little bit nervous, and she ends up leaving. So the truck driver turns to Paul. We're going to start calling him Paul from now on. And he says, he confronts him about what just happened. And this one guy is a guy standing over inside. His name's Jack. He's going to be a major character in the screen. He's standing over there, and he says, "Hey, would you just shut up? I'm trying to whatever." And the truck driver gets pissed and everything else, and then turns back to Paul again. Well, the truck driver comes over, Paul comes over, grabs the truck driver by the throat, jams him against the wall, takes him outside, slams his head on the hood of a car, and starts leaning forward and says something to him. We don't hear what he says, but he says something to him. That's going to be important a little bit later on. So he comes back in, and Paul's like, "Wow, man, thank you. I appreciate that." And the guy's, "Yeah, whatever." And he heads down the road, and he's walking. Paul's driving along, and he sees him walking, and he decides, okay, well, I'm going to give him a ride. So he picks him up. The guy says, "I'm going wherever." So he takes him, and then he gets to the point where Paul's getting ready to turn off a different direction. He says, "Just drop me off ahead. I don't want to just drop you off right here and everything else. You help me out and everything. Tell you what, why don't you come over to my place? Have a hot shower. I'll feed you. You can get up in the morning, and you can go on your way." Jack's like, "Yeah, okay, that's fine." You get this feeling about Jack and everything. There's a serial. Okay, I forgot to tell you, but there's a serial killer on the loose. And you start thinking, I bet you this is a serial killer. You dumbhead, why are you taking him home? So he takes him home, and next day, Jack's talking about a nice place and everything else. He says, you need to get some work done. I'm going to do some work for you around here and everything. Take me 3 or 4 days. And Paul said, no, you're fine. No, I'm going to do it for you and everything. Okay, so that's the premise that gets him started living with him, or staying with him anyway. So it's going along, and pretty soon he starts talking to Paul about, hey, well, what do you do for a living? He says, I'm a writer, and he starts talking to him. He finds out that his screenplay, it's not going anywhere. He used to have money, wife left him, so forth. Now he's going to get rid of the place because he can't really afford it anymore. He said, no. Let me fix you up there. You need to stop drinking and everything, and get working on your screenplay and everything. Which, to me, I'm thinking at that point, you should just tell a guy to leave, Yeah, the guy's telling you to how to run your life right now and everything. Let's get him out of here and everything. It's obvious that he's pissed off about him. But he goes ahead and stays. So pretty soon it becomes obvious that he ain't letting Paul go anywhere. Jack's there, Hey, Paul tries to escape the one day, and no, this ain't happening. I don't know if he disconnected the store. I don't know exactly what he did to the car and everything. He couldn't get the car started and everything. He brings it back to the house. You're not going anywhere. So a little later, Paul hears a scream outside and everything, and it's like he asks him about it. No, I didn't hear no girl scream or anything. So you're thinking, okay, guy's definitely a serial killer. Well, the girl that Paul ran into was talking to at the restaurant, she shows up. And next thing you know, she's captured also. Okay, the guy's, no, you're not going anywhere. Paul runs out, tries to get her to the car, jump in the car, try to take off and everything, and the guy's got the gun and stops it from happening. So she's now a hostage there as well as Paul. Soon after, the sheriff shows up. Paul's standing there, or Jack's standing there with a gun pointed at him and everything. He says, "Don't say anything to the sheriff." So he's talking to Paul's talking to the sheriff and everything. No, I haven't seen anything around here or anything. There's this girl. Remember the girl, the scream? There's a girl missing. She was supposed to be delivering a package to you. I didn't get no package or anything. The sheriff says, okay. He starts to leave. And Paul screams, let him know. And the guy bursts outside, grabs a hold of the sheriff, gets him up, shoves him into the back of his vehicle, and boom! You hear the gunshot. You see the gunshot go off. Paul slams the door, gets the girl, and they go running. And I try to keep him out of the house. And then, one of the things I'm thinking right then was, you turd, why'd you have to get that sheriff killed like that and everything? Exactly what did that accomplish and everything, But anyway, a little plan sets up, and pretty soon it looks like Jack is taking off in the police car, and Paul hears a train go by, and he says, oh, come on, we can get out of here and go catch that. They take off running, and she falls a few times, which turns out there's a reason for that later. But she falls a few times and slows him down, and he can't make it. And Jack shows up with a gun pointed at him, takes him back to that place. Well, then now they're both in the house. They're not tied up or anything like that. They're wandering around. So Paul's downstairs talking to her. She comes down, looks like she's got a little pair of scissors and everything. Comes up behind Jack, stabs him. Paul grabs him and goes to shoot him and everything. And the gun is not loaded. So the guy beats him up. Then he grabs the girl, takes her in the back. And he takes Paul, ties him up elsewhere. And he says, yeah, I'll finish writing a screenplay myself. He says, you're obviously no good. So Jack goes back up then and leaves Paul tied there and everything. And if you haven't seen it, you might want to leave now, okay? You might want to leave now. You start learning a little bit too much. So Paul he manages to untie himself, and he actually had duct tape, and he managed to cut it loose. Comes upstairs, checks a shotgun, 2 shells in it. He checks it. Oh yeah, there's 2 shells in it. I'm thinking, why they gotta leave 2 shells in that and everything? That doesn't even make sense. The guy knew he had a shotgun. So he walks in and he's got Paul. Pretty soon he's got him captured and everything. It's like okay, and then all of a sudden the twist comes. Which, could have been a pretty cool twist. I mean, Paul's, for some reason, he sees the girl laying there. She's dead. Thinks she's dead. And the guy killed him. And Paul starts talking about, you just helped me out and everything, and it's going to look like you did this and everything. I'm actually a serial killer. Blah, 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 blah. Here's my first part right here. It's okay. I've written over 24 books. You have to give you have to give your audience something of a hint along the way that, hey, I didn't even realize that whenever that happened, that he might be a serial killer. I don't remember any kind of a hint anywhere along the way. But okay, that's fine. I managed to get past that. So he fires 2 shots at the guy, and Jack keeps coming towards him, grabs the gun from him. Obviously, there must be blanks he put in there. And boom, pops him. Now, the next thing we know, Paul wakes up. He's tied up, and there's FBI all over the place. By the way, Paul had reached, I forgot to tell you. This is my first review. Give me a break. Paul reached in and he pulled out this here box with jewelry that would have indicted him towards the murder of these women and everything. Okay. So, Paul's sitting there, and the FBI come in, and Jack comes in and says, I want to talk to you. He says, hey, we got you and everything else. Paul, no, you didn't. He says, you set me all up and everything else, and he starts going on about it's not going to prove anything. So anyway, the FBI agent's outside pretty soon. He's like, oh, man, this isn't going to prove anything. And he's talking to the one girl and everything and looking at this pond in the back. And he walks in the house and he's looking at a picture of Paul's wife, and then all of a sudden he's like, wait a minute, there's no pond there. I think I know what's going on here. So Jack walks over. Now, again, he was an FBI guy. They're telling him about this setup and everything, and he says, I think your wife is buried underneath the pond. We're going to drain the pond, and we're going to dig up her body. Paul's like, no. Now things are changing. Well, now he doesn't want a lethal injection or anything else. He said, you owe me this. And Jack said, I don't owe you anything. Paul said, no, I want this to end this way. And Jack says, it's going to end the way I want it to end. And he gets up and walks away. So you're like, okay, they should have set that twist up a little bit better and everything else. But that's kind of a cool ending and everything, I don't mind that ending. It's different. It's different. With a little bit of work, maybe the author could have got that right. I should have turned it off right then. Because then it goes on, it goes into a blank, and then there's Paul. He's waking up in front of his typewriter. The whole thing was a dream. Are you kidding me? I sat there for an hour and a half and watched this stupid movie, got involved in it and everything, and it's a dream? Give me a break. Anybody used to watch Dallas? When Bobby wakes up in the, when they think Bobby's dead and everything else, and here he is in the shower, and they were having, and it was a big dream and everything like that there, so the whole season was wasted. Well, the whole hour and a half just wasted while I was sitting there, and this is a dream, and I hate that. If the screenwriter would have been sitting next to me and would have said, well, what do you think? I'd have turned around and boom, I'd have popped him. Broke his nose and said, you just made me waste an hour and a half watching this stupid movie. Which wouldn't have been too bad if you would have just ended it instead of trying to be cute. Okay. So my review on that there then, it was on Netflix, like I say. I was going to actually give it a 2 at the beginning. Then with the twist and everything, all right. There's a lot to be desired, but that was a pretty cool twist. So I thought I'd give it a 3, I liked it. And then when that popped up there and everything, No. I gave it a 2. I probably should have gave it a 1 for hated it. I gave it a 2 for didn't like it. Probably should have gave it a 1 for hated it, but kind of enjoyed the movie up until that part right there and everything else. So, as far as I'm concerned, the person who wrote Black Butterfly, you should have quit while you was ahead.